Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that a lot of people are completely unaware of. And I get clients who do this even with their reps and reserve sets, and they're like, well, I've got to make progress every week. And there's a point where you look at people and go, unless you're a novice lifter, if you're making progress every week, it's because you were really sandbagging early on. Okay, once we're intermediate lifters, once we're advanced lifters, here's the way that you have to look at stuff. When you're looking at progressive overload, we're looking at a general upward trend. And let's say that you're doing a given weight. Let's say you're doing 5 sets of 10 on whatever exercise. I don't care if it's a barbell, a dumbbell movement, whatever. As long as the range of motion and form is consistent. Let's say that you started out with the 5 sets of 10, and the 5th set you can barely grind it out. Well, that's pretty close to failure, right? We're pretty much reaching failure at the end. So if you were to look at that and say, well, 5 sets with that weight, and if it's that hard at the end, that is very effective work. That is for any exercise or muscle group, that is at least the minimum effective volume to see muscle growth. All right, 5 sets where the last one is pretty dang hard, any given weight. So how are you going to increase weight? Well, you're not. And here's the way to look at it. If you got magically, and this doesn't happen, 1% stronger over the next week, let's say you did this exercise once or twice, whatever. You got 1% stronger. That's not even going to pick up an extra rep. So even if you made progress, you're still inside your optimal tension and metabolic fatigue range. Mechanical tension, metabolic fatigue. Those are the drivers of hypertrophy. You're inside that range. You're inside that range. All right. What happens if you get 2% stronger? Let's say you run it at a second week, and now you get to the last set and you've got a couple reps in reserve. Well, I think everyone universally agrees, whether you ascribe to effective rep theory or not. Every expert who studied hypertrophy. If you're within 5 reps of failure, you're stimulating growth. Now, we're running this across multiple sets. So let's say you're now 2 reps from failure. If you had to, you could squeeze out 11 or 12 on that 5th set. Do we need progressive overload, or are we in our effective range? Well, what happens if you get a little stronger and you technically would have 3 reps in reserve on the 5th set? If you repeat that again, are we inside of our optimal zone? Yes, you're still going to make adaptations to it. And this is what people aren't understanding. Okay, that's what they're not understanding. And someone says, okay, but let's say I've been running that for a while and it's not getting easier ever. Okay, well, if it's not getting easier ever, it's not because you're not training hard enough. I want you to think about that. It's not getting easier. I never feel like I have more than, there. And if I've tried to get whatever, I fail on the 12th rep. That last set. Okay? So here's the question I would ask you. You know you're training hard enough to grow. 5 sets of 10 on any exercise should cause adaptation. Even if the last set is, 3 reps from failure, and the first couple are 5 or 6, we're still in a very good zone for hypertrophy. So if you're not making any progress, it's not because of the training. Now, maybe you need some other supplemental work for that lift. Maybe this is a big lift and you need some supplemental work. Okay, fine. Address the weak link in it. But if we're not making any progress, what's going on? There's something else besides your training that's the issue. It's not the progressive overload, because we're in our optimal ranges. And again, no one wants to talk about this. They want to act like we have to underreach and overreach and use these dual factor recovery models, but the research doesn't show any better progress from them. In other words, that's not evidence-based to say that you make more gains doing that. It's not supported by the literature. It lets people sell fancy programs instead of just coaching. It's why I don't sell custom programs. I coach people. Right? I assess everything week to week. workout to workout for my lifters. I don't sell the giveaway templates. But people who want to sell templates, it sure lets them sell these models where we build up into overreaching and then we back off. That's not supported by the research. That's just a fancy model that people use. People say, "Well, I've used those and it does work." Yeah, but it doesn't work any better. So let's come over and talk about what's really going on if you're not making progress doing this. We change exercises sometimes for a novel response. We change exercises to avoid overuse. These are valid reasons. But when we're looking at something like this on an exercise, the first questions you need to ask is, well, why aren't you making gains? Are you eating enough? People say, well, no, I'm trying to recomposition at the same body weight without drugs. Okay. Well, dumbass, that's part of the reason you're not gaining muscle. You listened to clowns who told you that you could pull that off. I'm not saying you can't slow bulk and make pretty lean gains. You can do that. But you're going to have to gain body weight, and it's going to be slow. And you might be using the same 5x10 for 10 or 12 weeks at a time. If you're doing the slow, leanest gains approach, your PRs might only be coming every 10 or 12 weeks. And you have to accept that because that's what you chose to do with your diet and body composition. That was a choice you made. All right, so that's number one. You aren't eating enough. You are under recovering because you already know based on that you're training hard enough to make some progress. So why aren't we making progress then? Why aren't we making progress in that case? You aren't sleeping enough. You're stressed. You have dietary deficiencies. I don't know, do you have enough vitamin C in your diet? Is there enough potassium in your diet? Is there enough protein in your diet? These are the things that you should be looking at that point. Not, oh, I've got to change this up because I'm not training hard enough. Well, if your programming is good, your volumes are good, and it's still at that level. Like if you're 2 reps in reserve on the 5th set using sets across, that exercise is causing a hypertrophic response. Okay? It absolutely is, and you cannot deny that. So something else is going on. But the point is, the idea that we're going to make progress on a weekly basis on your supplemental lifts, ones that you've been doing a little while, or that it's even necessary, is absolutely ludicrous. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.